the lesson for Here Comes the Sun. So I had the capo on the 5th fret for my version at the beginning. The original I think is on the 7th, but just purely for being able to fit your fingers in, I chose the 5th because some people might not be able to get their fingers up here if you're on the slightly larger finger side of things. So I'll have it on the 5th fret, but again, if you want to play along with the record, have it on the 7th fret. And again, you can play it with no capo at all, it will still work with the same sort of chords. So the first chord you want to go with is the D shape up here, which is actually a G major. So what I'll do is I'll actually call the chord shapes what you'd play with no capo on at all, just to avoid confusion. So what you want to do, your first move is kind of, now you can use a plectrum for this if you want. I'll show you. So you can kind of strum through it rather than you doing sort of fingerstyle, which is, my fingerstyle wasn't that great in the beginning of the video. It's kind of quite messy, but it's kind of okay in this song. You can kind of get away with it. And again, with the plectrum, you can kind of, you can do either. But what I'll do is I'll use my fingers for the minute. I'll predominantly use my first finger and thumb for this, but again, you can get some other fingers involved. So your first move is to play the D shape up here, and then just come back down with your pick in hand there. Okay, so the next bit. So the second move you'll do is kind of make out like you're about to make a G chord, but with a couple of differences. So from the first bit. Okay, so that move is first finger. And then what you do is leave the high E open. So. Okay, and then you kind of go back to the what would be 8th fret on the B string. Okay, so. Okay, and then your next bit is you'll go to like an A7 shape, and then with your second finger, pull that off and put it back on again. And then you'll move it up to the 8th fret, so it's. So isolated from the chord, it'll be, and then the high E. So that whole little bit will be. The second part of that verse goes like this. This is where your first finger comes down to the high E string. So it's similar in structure to the first half of the verse, but with a slight difference when you get to that G shape chord. So. And then you go to the A7 shape. Okay, so that second half goes like this. Okay, so that whole verse in entirety slowed down sounds like this. Okay, I'll play it slowed down one more time. Again, you can play that with a plectrum. I know, like, some of you might be looking at the fingerstyle thing and going, ooh, I don't know what fingers he's using to pluck what strings, but, you know, you can just be quite messy with it. I'll show you the plectrum and then messy with a couple of fingers. Still sounds cool even when you're quite messy with your right hand, and I'll show you with like 2 fingers as well. worry too much about like being a spider with your right hand. It will come. And like I say, if you're really struggling with it, just use a plectrum because it sounds super cool with plectrum as well. So the next bit we get to is the chorus, and this sounds like this slowed down. So again, we're just lifting off with our middle finger on that high E string. Okay, and again with a plectrum that'll sound like this. Okay. And then what you do is you go to the G-shaped chord, again with our first finger down on the high E. Okay, so that first little section is. Okay, so one more time. And then it goes to a super cool chord there, which is like, so basically you're playing E up there, E major shape, but it'll be a 7 chord, so you'll take your third finger off. And then what you'll do is add the third finger down on the B string on what would be the 3rd fret, but what is really the 8th fret, and it will sound like this. Okay, so after the G chord, you'll go. And I kind of hit that B string twice and then hit the open E, so. Okay, so again, really super messy. So that whole little first section. Okay, a couple more times. And then what you do is you go back to the D. So that's kind of, again, just pulling off with the middle finger on the high E. Okay, so that whole section up to that point. The next bit's quite tricky actually, because what you do is it will be the open E string and the open G string. Hit them together, and then it'll be 2nd fret for both of those same strings, low E and G string. And then what you need to do is make this chord. So I use my thumb for this just because it's easier. I mean, you could use your 2nd finger as well. But for this, I'm going to use my thumb just because I'm used to doing that. So this chord we're playing down here is like a bluesy thing that you'd sort of do that. So it's it will be the 9th fret on the G string, the 8th fret on the B string, and then open E. Okay, and that'll be with your thumb on the 8th fret. And then, so you hit the G string and the E string together, and then the B string and then the E string. So. And then you keep the middle finger there, and then go back to the 2nd fret on the G and the 2nd fret on the low E. So it will be. And then open on the low E and open on the G. Okay, so you will have this. So I'll play it a few times slowed down. And after that you go back to the 7th fret on the low E and the G. So that whole section is. And then to finish it off, you go to the B string on the 3rd fret where your 2nd finger already is, and you go. So all you're doing is going 8th fret, 7th fret on the B, and then 9th fret, 7th fret on the G. So, and I kind of bar it as well, so I haven't got to go. Because again, if you use a plectrum, you can kind of hit a few strings and it's fine. So that whole little section sounds like this. Okay, so I'll play it to you a few more times slowed down. So the chorus put together sounds like this. So you'll notice I'm hitting the A string on that little bit at the end as well, which you can do or you don't have to do, it doesn't really matter. So the bit after that, it goes into another verse, which you already know. It'll go into another chorus, and there's one other little bit I'm going to show you in the song, and it sounds like this. Okay, so what you do here is it's open A string, and then 9th fret on the A. And then it will be 7th fret on the D. So then what you'll do is play an F major triad, but up here. So it's 8th fret on the D, 7th fret on the G, 6th fret on the B. So it will go. So you'll notice the fingering that I'm using as well is the 3rd finger, 2nd finger, and then to the triad. So. Then the next chord is like a C major 7 kind of thing. So that would be 8th fret on the A string, 7th fret on the D string with your ring finger and middle finger. So. And then what you'll do is you'll put your middle finger on the 2nd fret on the A string. Sorry, not 2nd fret, the 7th fret. Play open D string and open G string. So that little section is. And then you'll finish it off with your ring finger on the 8th fret. So that whole little section slowed down is. You head to the D shape. Okay? So you've got this so far. So it's like a little strum on the D shape there. And then you'll go to the A7 shape. So. Now it is quite a strange timing with that. I'm not quite sure the time signature, but if you know the song, you'll kind of get the feel for it, and you should know roughly what you're doing with your hands there. So that section is. Little bit I'm going to show you is the build up before we go back into the verse again, which is an A7 shape, and you kind of pedal on the A string, what I'm doing with my middle finger there is 5th fret, 7th fret and 8th fret, and then ramping that up. And then what you do with your middle finger is go back. So it's 7th fret, 8th fret and 10th fret with your little pinky. So that little section together is... And all you do then is you add your ring finger on the 8th fret on the high E. So that whole section slowed down is... Okay, so a couple more times. And then you'll be back into the verse. So that whole little section, I'll play through for you. And that's it, those are the parts for Here Comes the Sun. Again, you can put them through, make your own structure with it. My structure in the beginning wasn't as the song is, but it was kind of a short, condensed version of it. So yeah, those are the parts. So that was my video tutorial on how to play Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles in a finger-styly kind of way. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy, bye.